Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good day, whatever time it is for you. And today I'm going to start my planting, and I'm going to start out with onions. So I'm going to plant the Savannah sweet onion. We're going to start out with those. But before I plant, I wanted to show you something that I got in the mail today, and it's so awesome. Her name is Mojave Desert Rose, and you can find her on Instagram. And she had, I guess her father-in-law had put together these booklets, and it's called A Smart Reference Guide for the United States Constitution. And I guess he had passed away and left a bunch of these books, and she was just giving them out to people. So I asked her if I could have some, and she sent them to me. I got them today. And these are really amazing little books. So I wanted to get one for myself, and they came in these nice little packages, nice little plastic packs to keep them in. And it's got the Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, a quick index, Bill of Rights, all amendments, and a historical timeline. So I thought this was really fascinating, and I like collecting things like this, historical things, or anything about our country or Constitution, our freedoms, which is quickly disappearing. And I want to make sure I keep all this stuff for my grandchildren. And I don't know if it's in all of parts of the country, but out here in a lot of the schools, they have banned Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, a lot of things like that that are very historical books. They're great pieces of literature, but because of this woke society, they consider those books now to be racist, and I'm baffled. But I collect all those books that have been banned and that are not to be, supposedly not to be read, because that's the way the history of the time was. But that is not the way it is now, thank goodness. But the kids need to know the history and the truth and the way it really was. So I got all of my grandchildren one of these books. Got one for myself. It's U.S. Constitution, because they need to know what is in it and what is real. So, and not this make up your rules as you go government that we have right now. So anyway, I just thought I'd share this with you. I'll quit rambling about that, but I thought I'd share this with you. I thought it was really cool. She sent them today, and I'm just very happy to have them. So enough said about that. Back to my onions. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and plant my onions. I need to get going on that because the weather's starting to warm up. I was going to do this outside, but it is too windy, and if I tried to do it outside, my seeds would fly everywhere. I'd have seeds all over the desert. So anyway, I'm going to do these now. And I'm doing, these are from Haas, which they have excellent seeds. Their seeds always germinate for me. And these are Savannah sweet onions. And I'm just going to take them out. Okay, now I planted onions last year. I was not real successful, and I'll tell you why. Because I was not, first of all, I planted them too late in the season. I started everything in May because I thought that was what you're supposed to do. Excuse me. And that was, it took too long. And in the desert out here, it gets extremely hot in the summer, as you probably all know. And even though they were in the greenhouse, it was still too hot in the greenhouse. And I've got shades and things and fans, so I'll show you that later. But it just took way too long. So I'm going to start these in February. And I noticed a lot of people in zone 6, where I am, are starting their seeds inside right now. I usually wait until the 1st of next month, or April even, before I started my seeds. And I think that was a mistake. So I think I've learned my lesson on that one. So I'm kind of watching what you all do out there. And so I'm going to try to follow what you guys are doing and see if I can improve my gardening this year. So I've got my seeds. These are sweet Savannah onions. And I've packed the dirt down into a pan. Instead of trying to plant these in individual planters, I have actually, I've seen this done, and so I'm going to do the same thing. So I've got my pan ready, and I hate doing this in the kitchen. It's so messy. But, you know, like I said, it's I intended to do this outside. And it's a nice sunny day. It's clear, but it is cold as heck, and it's windy. So I just, the wind gets pretty bad out here, and I didn't want my want my seeds going everywhere. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of sprinkle them around in here. And when it gets more towards spring, I can take these out and transplant them. But for now, this is just going to be their little home. And what I'm going to do to get onions throughout the season is I'm going to plant these, and then 2 weeks from now, I'm going to do another planting. And hopefully I'll get, that way everything won't mature at the same time, and I won't have an overharvest of one thing. And so I can do like a continuous harvest. And these onions can also be planted in the fall. I don't want to get them too thick here, but there's some spots I need to fill in. So as long as I keep them, excuse me, in the greenhouse, I think I can do this all year round. I think. I'm going to try. Okay. Get these babies in here. This pan is actually bigger than it looks. Ah! No yuckies, no yuckies. I checked it on my compost pile today, and it is making some beautiful dirt. I turned it over. I went out and turned it over this morning, and I've got some nice black, rich looking dirt in the bottom of the compost pile. I'm excited. And that's going to be used out in the main garden. Okay, go little plants, go. Okay, now that I've got those in here, I'm just going to tamp them down a little bit. I don't have those fancy blocks that some people have. I just use my hand. And tamp them down just a little bit. Make sure they're nice and stable. And I've already prepared the dirt. I've already wet it, so it's ready to grow. And no seeds have stuck to my hand. Just a little bit of dirt. It doesn't hurt, doesn't... My tongue got tangled up. A little bit of dirt doesn't hurt anybody. So I'm going to take a little bit of dirt and just kind of cover it a little bit. Another problem that I have a tendency to bury my seeds too deep. And that's with anything. It's like, I don't know why I do that, but I have a bad habit of doing that. And we'll get some soil on top. Make sure we get the whole thing. Now, like I said, I usually, before, I had waited till like the 1st of May to start doing this, or April. But I'm changing my strategy this year. And I'm actually going to pay more attention to what I'm learning from you all out there in the Shed Wars community about how you plant things and where you plant them. Last year I actually had a pretty successful garden. As a matter of fact, my son-in-law, he always has a good garden, but he's done this all of his life, so he knows a lot of what he's doing. But just a couple days ago, my son-in-law called me and said he was cleaning out his carrots, and I was getting low on carrots, on my carrot storage, because I eat a lot of carrots. I love carrots. And he said, if you come and help me can my carrots, I'll give you some. So I said, okay, I'll come help you, no problem. You know, get free carrots, nice fresh. So I go over and he's got the canning jars already, and he's out pulling carrots out of his garden, which was interesting because the ground was frozen. So he was breaking the ground apart, getting carrots out of the ground. They were frozen into the dirt. So that was a job. So he's out there and he does that, and he's bringing in like 5-gallon bucketfuls, just bringing them in and bringing them in. And I'm putting them in the sink, and I'm washing them and cleaning them and cutting them. And we used the toilet brush method, where you take a clean toilet brush, excuse me, to get the hiccups, and you attach it to a drill bit and you put it in your drill. And when you turn that on and that brush rotates in a 5-gallon bucket full of water, and put your veggies in there, I tell you what, that is just the most amazing trick. And it just cleaned those carrots like you would not believe. Even in the little, you know how they get the little folds in the carrot and you get the dirt in the little crannies and stuff? Cleaned those things up beautifully. So I'm going to adopt that same method. And I told my youngest son about it, because he's got a farm. He hadn't heard of that before. So I told him about it. And so he's going to do the same thing, but it actually works. The first time I saw that was on Terry King's allotment. He's in England, and I saw him do that with the toilet brush, and I thought, what in the world? And so I thought, well, can that be real? So when I told my son-in-law about it, he goes, you know what, that kind of makes sense. So he tried it. I tell you what, guys, that will clean your vegetables better than you could ever clean them by hand, let me tell you. It was a beautiful thing. So, okay, I've got everything packed down, just like I saw other people do. I'm copying you all. Hopefully you'll make me a better gardener. And here is my first batch of carrots. And I've labeled them. And they mature in 100 days. So I have an idea of when to harvest them. And I don't write it down, because I will make lists, and then I'll lay the list down and the list is lost. So what I do is I put all of my information, like the dates that I want to remember, like this: 100 days from now, these onions should be mature. And on the back I wrote what they are. They're sweet Savannah onions. And so there's that. But I put them in my phone, in my calendar. So my calendar beeps every day and tells me what I needed to remember for that day. So I used to carry a daily diary all the time when I was working, because I had a lot of meetings and things I had to go to, and I had to file. I worked for a builder at my last job for a few years, and I had to file building permits, and I had to know when to have construction start on this date and that date and what needs to go. And that's a lot to remember. And so that was before I had a cell phone that you could, we had cell phones then, but it was those old flip top phones, and you couldn't connect to the internet, and didn't have calendars in them. So everything, I had my daily diary, and I wrote down all my meetings and all my dates. And if I lost that thing, I was in big trouble. But now I just put everything on my calendar in my phone, including my gardening reminders dates. So I'm going to wet this down really good. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to plant another set of carrots. And then 2 weeks, carrots. I'm going to plant carrots too, by the way. Onions. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to plant another set of onions. And then 2 weeks after that, another set of onions. And that'll give me quite a lot of onions, actually. And I'm going to dehydrate some. I'm going to mince some. And some I'm just going to use. And I love onion rings. Oh my goodness. Fresh onion rings made from big onions from your own garden